They were like, do you want to rank for the word hemorrhoids? Then just put hemorrhoids all over your like website.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real. Chelsea, we're back for another episode.
We're still virtual. It's been a little crazy recently, but it's fine. I got my main character energy.
Awesome. I was trying really hard not to drink Red Bulls, but I allowed myself one today, so I haven't had one in a hot minute.
Well, you're allowed to have as many as you need to get us through. It really has been really crazy these past couple weeks.
It has, but we are so excited that now, just to give you guys a recap, we put a lot of content out there, so we're doing these weekly podcasts. We still do a weekly email. We're doing stuff for clients. And then on top of it, Chelsea and I are finishing up our course, which is called Rock Your Fair. And
so excited.
Yes, I can't wait to launch it.
Yeah, I know. So exciting. But, okay. So today, before we get into what we're saying, kind of unrelated, but also kind of related. If you were famous, would you Google yourself?
Girl, I Google myself all the time, and I'm not even famous. No, I mean, listen, it's extremely important. If you are not Googling yourself to figure out what kind of stuff is out there about you, I think you're a little behind the times.
Well, I mean, you know what? I totally agree. That's what I was going to say anyways, is you should.
Do you Google yourself?
I haven't yet.
So it's funny because I get a little offended if like my thing doesn't pop up first on my search results. So when I type in Vivian Walton, my LinkedIn pulls up first. So that's fabulous. And then a podcast episode of when I was guest podcasting on someone else's platform. But it is very good for people to do that. And really, this leads us into our topic. Did you just Google yourself?
I did. I was Googling myself. There's someone at Gettysburg College who's a soccer player. She's a goalie.
Scroll down. How far down are you?
Oh, God. Okay. I found myself kind of like halfway, but it's my Instagram, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, so you got work to do, huh?
Yeah, I have to work on it. Oh, there's a SoundCloud. I wonder if there's a rapper. Chelsea Mojica rapper.
So that does lead us into today's topic, which we're going to be talking about Google and just why, as a small business, Google should be such an integral part of what you're doing, and you have to give it consideration. I know, Chelsea, when we're working with people, just kind of out, in the public, you said that you've actually bumped up against people saying that they just don't even want to deal with Google, small business owners.
Yeah, they don't see the point of it. Like, I can have an Instagram or a Facebook, and I can just have an Instagram shop. I don't need to make a Google account or a website, and it kills me because, I mean, you're really just limiting who can find you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard to believe, like, oh, but everyone's on social media, but, like, that's not true. And not everyone wants to use social media to find small businesses. I mean,
yeah, leads back to we're always talking about target audience and being sure that we are present in the places that our target audience is going to get information. And I do think, especially if you are a small business whose target audience is a subgroup of people who aren't utilizing social media as much, which that can be hard to believe. I know y'all think everyone's on social media, but there are groups of people that prefer not to turn to social media for shopping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so knowing your target audience is super important for that reason specifically, because if you're not engaging in Google, so let's talk about what we mean when we talk about engaging or using Google, because there are really two parts to it. So the first
Sure.
part is what?
So Google My Business. Having a profile on Google
Yeah.
is probably number one, and something you definitely should be doing, something you definitely should have.
And just because I really am a stickler for formalities sometimes, just so you guys are aware, Google has gone through several iterations of their Google business profile. And so when Chelsea refers to it as like Google My Business, at one point it was, I think that's exactly what it was called.
Yes,
They
it
have
was
since, in the past, I want to say 2 years, maybe a little longer, but in the past 2 years, they are technically calling it a Google business profile. Okay, so
Yes.
GBP. So if you see that on any blogs where people are referring to a GBP, they're referring to a Google business profile. And what that is basically where you go in and let's say the season marketer, even though we do not have a storefront, I was able to go into Google and claim the season marketer Google business profile. If you have a storefront, you definitely want to claim it because that is going to allow you to put what types of data points in there, Chelsea?
Address, hours, different hours. You can link a website if you have a link. If you have a website, your phone number. I mean, there's so much that you can do on a business profile. You can add images, videos, 360 videos. That's where people leave reviews. I mean, customers actually can also leave photos or videos as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the interesting part, and I do want to cover this part of it because I think there's a lot of, if you consider yourself to not be techie, you can start to say, I just don't tap out. Like, I don't even want to deal with Google. I don't care how it works. It's not for me. It's simple. It's rather simple. But what I do want to emphasize is, as a small business owner, you go in and you claim, that's what they call it, you claim your Google business profile. Then, as Chelsea stated, you get to go in there and build out your profile. You enter all of that information, your business hours, all of that stuff. And what's really great is that it allows you, because Google is amping those up and adding to it all the time, you're now able to, even with like, say, your basic business hours, whereas before you would just put your Monday through Sunday hours in there. Now you can actually put your holiday hours. So for example, when Memorial Day pops up, you can go in and update it just for Memorial Day. And the reason you would want to do that is because Google will then, on the Google listing page, show on that day, hey, the hours may be affected by the holiday. And it gives them the updated hours. And so they are doing a really great job of adding features to it all the time. But the reason, go ahead.
Well, and I was going to say, basically, this profile is what pulls up when people are looking for you.
Yes.
Or this will pull up if people search for a keyword that's related to your business. It's going to pull up your profile. So you want to make sure that you have all of the relevant information in there so that they can see you're an option and choose to shop with you.
So you're absolutely correct. And really what the way it works is, let's say you have a storefront here in South Carolina, in Summerville, South Carolina. We have a neighborhood that's popped up that's very nice and posh and has all these restaurants and stuff, and it's called Nexton. That's the name of the community, the neighborhood. And so if, let's say, you have a restaurant in that next in community, you claim your listing, update it with all your information. So if I'm driving by and let's say I'm a mile down the road and I put into Google restaurants, that restaurant, your restaurant's going to pop up because I'm less than a mile down the road. And it's using that location access that we give to our phones to map out where I'm at, and then it uses it to figure out what restaurants are nearby, and then it presents it to me in, with relation to the distance, how close I am. But the reason this is really important is because I think people, they just don't have a basic understanding of how the information is being presented. And I'll give you a perfect kind of funny example. I'm not going to loud anybody out here, but I had an instance one time where an older gentleman, he was in his 60s or 70s, and he was telling me, I was working with him, and he said, my Google listing doesn't pop up for someone that is in this other community. Okay, now the communities are 30 miles apart. Okay, and he's like, why is my listing not popping up when they're looking for, this? And I'm like, no, because they're not, you may pop up, but you're going to be at the very bottom. Like you're going to have to scroll a couple pages to get to because you're not, if they're
Close.
if they're in the
Yeah.
other community, it's just not going to be there. So, it's to Google's benefit to basically supply people with good information. What good would it do them to supply me with something that's 30 miles away? I'm not going to drive that far. Right? Yeah. So I think it's helpful when people understand that. And then, like you said, it doesn't, if you're not claiming your Google business profile, you're just not going to appear on that. Like your website, if you have a website, may appear down in the results further down, but it's not going to appear on that Google map, which is what you want.
Yeah. And setting up your Google business profile is really easy. They take you through all of the steps. Do you want to add this? Do you want to add that? You can actually add, you can allow customers to send you messages, and Google will ask if you want to do that, so you don't have to set it up if you don't want to. But this is a great way to interact with potential customers. It shows them that you're easy to contact. They can easily get their questions answered. Now, the thing is, you actually have to answer those messages.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be helpful if you're not.
Well, I am also not going to call anyone out, but I've had people say, yes, I want to accept messages, and then they've never checked them, and they've had people messaging them saying, hey, I have this question. Hey, you're not responding. What's up? And then get really mad. So
Right.
If you're going to add messages, you want to make sure that you actually are going to be checking that.
It definitely can backfire, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're trying to seem like you're being super helpful and then you're just ignoring it. So that's not helpful. But to your point, the securing a Google or claiming your Google business profile takes about, not even 5 minutes sometimes. If you have all the information readily available, when you're setting it up. So information like your website link and your hours, and if you want to add a description, what industry you're in, all of that good stuff. The really interesting part too, kind of like going back to that messaging that you were talking about, Google has integrated a lot of features where now you can even do post on there. So let's say if you, this is great for, I don't know, restaurants, or if you offer even like, wax places, all that. If you have a menu that you're going to be updating, you could easily go in and upload a photo of your new menu of services, or just, menu if you're a restaurant. And that way people have the most current information. If you're not wanting them to have to click on the website and then pull up your menu from there, you could easily just upload a picture of that. And then also, I think the most important part, and a lot of people probably already know this, but if you're not leveraging reviews on Google, then it's hard. I know you mentioned you saw a statistic. What was that statistic about people
Yeah,
using?
I have so only 9% of consumers would even consider engaging with a business that had a 1 or 2 star average rating. So like if you're not working on getting some good reviews, people aren't going to look at your business. And a good point too is also Google hosts 73% of all online reviews.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's any inclination, so what's interesting, two things that I noticed when you were talking about that. First and foremost is you can do the proactive approach or a reactive approach to Google reviews. So the proactive approach looks like, hey, if I know someone had a great experience, then I'm going to send them, a request or ask them to leave me a review. And I do the things to make it as easy as possible, whether that's through scanning a QR code that sends them straight to the review or something, right? Makes it really easy for them. The reactive approach would be, I'm just not going to ask anybody. And so the high percentage of people that will leave you a review at that point are going to be people that are upset, that are going to leave you the 1 or 2 star reviews. And I can't remember the statistics, but back in the day, we used to say that like 70% of people on average are going to leave a review when they're upset. Right? But they're not going to go out of their way to like leave a review when they have a really great experience. I think that's changed with recent times.
I actually have a statistic that's related to this.
Yeah.
I just saw it the other day. I'll put in the video and in the show notes where I got this statistic because I don't remember off the top of my head, but 60% of consumers will leave a review if you ask them.
Right. They have to be prompted.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you ask them, 60% will do it. But if you don't mention it at all, the only people that you're going to get are people who are very upset.
Well, and the other part of it too is, okay, so because Google reviews are so important these days, and like you said, you don't want to get the 1 or 2 star reviews, but not just that. The thing is, building your base, your quantity of how many reviews you're getting is probably really important as well. So, for example, if I go to a business and it's between two businesses and I'm looking at their Google reviews and I see, well, I do this on Amazon. Okay, before I buy a product, I was doing this last night. Before I buy a product, I look to see how many stars it has. Okay, great. This one has 5 stars, but it's only got 2 reviews. This one, on the other hand, has 4 stars, but it has 1,000 reviews.
Yeah.
Which one am I going to go to? I mean, I'm going to go to the one that obviously has the most reviews, even though it might have a lower star count, just because I like going through and actually reading about their experience. And I click on that nice little option that gives me all the photos that they uploaded.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the polished photos you guys got. I want to see the photos from customers that were there, especially when I'm booking a hotel room.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, reviews hold such a integral core part of businesses, and I feel like sometimes they get forgotten about. And it really can impact your business.
And especially because Google is, if you want to show up on the search results pages, you have to be sure that you're utilizing that Google review just because their algorithm likes it for sure. But on top of it, probably most importantly, is because of the way people's shopping patterns or purchasing patterns are. Like you said, if you have 0 reviews and your competitor is listed too, and they happen to have 200 reviews, I mean, it's, they're probably going to be the one that people go with just for that reason in particular.
Well, I have one more statistic related to that once again. Okay. So 2020 study by Trustpilot, they saw that 9 out of 10 people read online reviews before they make a purchase.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Super important. And just ask yourself, do you want to be proactive or reactive to it? Now, part of the part of the process if you are going to put in the work to do stuff with the reviews, the Google reviews, is having a system in place to where if you receive a bad review or a good review, that you go back in and comment, right?
Yeah, you want to interact. If it's good, say, thank you, we appreciate it. And then if it's bad, say, hey, come talk to us, let's figure out what happened or something like that.
Or thanks for the feedback, and this is what we're
Thanks
doing
for
to
the
fix
feedback.
it, or whatnot.
I do suggest something that I ran into when I was in charge of some Google business profiles is people get really mad if you post the same comment.
Yes, they don't want it to feel like it's automated.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and this goes both ways, both for positive and negative reviews.
Right.
Especially with negative reviews, though, because then they're like, no one's even read this, it's just automated, you guys don't care. So actually taking the time to respond specifically to that review can really help.
And there are companies that can help with some of this. If you're thinking, Vivian, Chelsea, I do not have the time to be asking people for reviews, there are companies out there that for a fee, you can set up systems where it will automate a text message or an email that gets sent to them as long as you're providing the information, and they simply click on a link and then it takes them to actually filling out the review form. So there are ways to automate this and to help you out. I don't want you to think that you have to do it all on your own. Now, if you're tight on a budget and you're having to figure out a good way to do this, then even adding a QR code on a flyer or on a business card, or
That's
setting
exactly
up some
what I-
type of automated email when someone makes a purchase.
A great thing you can do, I know Bray, my girl Bray, she has done this. She printed out little flyers saying, thank you, hope you had a great time, could you leave a review, here's the QR code, and she put them in every single room for the waxers. And then there's one at the front desk as well.
And so basically they just take their phone and snap a picture of it and...
And it pulls up the Google profile already open to leaving a review. So they don't even have to click leave a review or anything. They just have to fill it out.
This was something that's interesting. I learned this one the hard way. So Google has an option on your Google business profile to what you're talking about. It has an option where it says share the review page. Like, it's a very specific link that you have to embed in the QR code that takes them to what you're saying, which is the pop-up box that is on your profile, but it's right where they can start typing immediately and leave the comment. And the reason that's important is because, probably Bray figured out, you want that barrier, right? The less steps they have to do, the more reviews you're going to get. So she doesn't even want them going to the business profile and then write a review. She wants to take them straight to the dialog box where they can start typing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Google also has a marketing kit. So if you're looking to create a poster, a flyer, a sign for asking people to leave a review, they actually have a marketing kit where they've created these posts already. So they have created posts, signs, posters.
I mean, listen, anything that is free, and also actually, they've already started that graphic design process, so you could just springboard off of that. I think that's great. So
they also have examples and ways that you can be asking people for reviews. So it's a great little free kit to help you get started for building up your reviews.
Awesome. Well, we definitely encourage everybody to take full advantage of that then, and at least check it out. Even if you've been doing it, check it out. There might be something in there you can utilize. If not, then, no harm.
Yeah.
Well, so the other part, we said that really there were two parts of utilizing Google to promote your small business. And so that Google business profile is just one of the ways. The other way is the big, scary SEO. right? Nobody wants to talk about SEO stuff just because it's kind of like, it's, when people say the word cloud, and you're like, where is the
Yeah.
cloud? Like, where, like,
What is the cloud? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of.
Well, I guess we should start by saying SEO is search engine optimization,
Yeah.
which again sounds really confusing. It's not.
It's really just the way we were talking about how Google utilizes the data that they're collecting. That sounds really scary. The data they're collecting on you to put the best options in front of you. So the way I like to think about it is Google's like a matchmaker, really. And so what they're doing is, you're telling it at any point in time what you're looking for. And then their job is to bring the best matches to you. And just like any good matchmaker, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They want all that data so that they know exactly what to put in front of you. And really, search engine optimization, SEO, is a way for a small business owner to help tell Google what type of data points to be using to match them with the right people that are out there looking for their product, service, or business in general, or the content that they're putting out there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why at the core of SEO is a focus on keywords. So keywords are really just words or phrases that you're using to tell Google, hey, if someone's interested in this, they're going to be interested in our website, in our small business, because it's related. A great way people do this is through blog posts. So the key to blog posts is that you're sharing information that your audience is interested in and that you're answering questions that they want answered.
Yeah, so what's interesting about that whole thing is, so back in the day, whenever people started talking about SEO back in my day used to be really easy. And it was for the sole reason that everyone's SEO strategy was basically keyword stuffing. They were like, do you want to rank for the word hemorrhoids? Then just put hemorrhoids all over your website. So how many different sentences can you come up using this word, right? Come up with. So back in the day, that's what people equated search engine optimization SEO strategy with, and that's not the case anymore. We tell people
Google really cracked down on that.
Yeah, well, and so what it does, because what's ended up happening is people have figured out the game well, and they have tried to utilize it to basically confuse Google's system. And so the key point being this, like you said, Google last year came out with an update, as they do every other day. And the update was called the Google Helpful Content Update. And the reason, basically what Google did was they gave us a framework, and they said, here are the do's and don'ts. And so one of the biggest don'ts is don't do keyword stuffing anymore, because that's not going to work. And then the biggest do was what you're talking about, which is content. And the reason this gets really important is Google has started to use AI to the point where the system is so intuitive that it can tell if your content is what they deem helpful. And if it's not, and there's criteria that they actually have, and we did a YouTube video on this, so if you guys are interested in finding out exactly what this update said, go to our YouTube channel under the Seasoned Marketer and use the search function and just type in there Google. And all the videos will pop up, and I think we have maybe 4 or 5 of them, and one of those will be on this update. But what's really intriguing to me is that the better the system gets at being that matchmaker, it makes it a little easier for us, because I feel like then all you really have to do is be sure that you are answering the questions that your target audience wants answered, right? Yeah. And one of the things that, an example that they used was, for example, if you write a blog post about a movie that you claim you saw, but the movie has not come out for doesn't come out for another 6 months, their system, Google, will be able to tell that that's fake information.
Yeah.
That it's just not good information. And so it's not going to rank high on their search engine. And so just think about that.
Try think of it as they're trying to crack down on clickbait.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So a good example, going back to movies, saying maybe you Google when does this movie come out, but they haven't released a date for it yet.
Right.
If you say, oh, I know when this movie comes out, and then they go to your website and it's not, like, there's no answer, Google's going to penalize you for that.
Yes.
No one's going to find your website now. Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. And penalize is definitely a good word to utilize, because what they're going to derank your website, and essentially you're going to be in the pits. You're not going to be in Google's good graces. So
the point is to give your customers good content. You'll be fine as long as you're not lying to anyone or making stuff up. Just make sure you're giving them good information.
Yeah, and really I'll say the best SEO strategy is that it's very simple, but it's truly making sure that you are serving your target audience. And one of the ways you can do that is, do you guys have a frequently asked questions section? And how much information do you have in there that's actually good information? Like if you have an FAQ section and you're like, do you allow, you're asking a question about your product or service and you answer with one word and you're like, yes, no, but you don't provide any detail or explanation, that's not going to help your SEO strategy, right? You have to give it the information that Google can then pull from and present it to somebody. So,
and one more thing, if you are going to go like headfirst into SEO and you want to do like a deeper dive into keywords, short tail versus long tail keywords, we do have a YouTube video on that as well. You might want to check it out. Just how using and finding relevant keywords to your small business is also really going to help with your ranking on Google.
Yeah, and let's not be afraid of those terms. Those are just like techie marketing terms that people, let's talk about application with that. So for example, you're looking for something online, tire places. I need something done to my tire.
I still haven't fixed my tire.
I need to do the same thing. That's why it's top of mind. So for me, it's like, I'm not just going to type into Google tire services. What I'm going to type in is tire patching or, tire replacement, and then the city that I want to do it in, right? So like tire patching, Charleston, South Carolina, or, tire services, Summerville, South Carolina. Those are long tail keywords where you're providing them more information. It's not just like a short phrase that people are looking up. So the more targeted you are with that stuff, the better. And like we said, basically all you're doing is you're helping our matchmaker Google to find the right people that are looking for you. So just think of it like that.
So I feel like you and I each week come on here and we tell small businesses, hey, this is great, you should be doing this. But I feel like we're saying that about everything. And I don't want people to feel like you're wasting your time if you're not doing this, or, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do all of these things that you want me to do. Don't focus on the extra stuff. I think the key point here is at least have a Google business profile and at least have your information out there. If that's really all you can handle right now, that's fine. I mean, you're doing the best that you can do. We're proud of you for what you've got going on. We're just saying, hey, this is something that if you haven't thought about it, you might want to consider. But definitely have a Google business profile.
Yes, it will definitely help you, and it will ensure that you stay in Google's good graces. And really, it's something that you guys can do with very little maintenance, unless you are changing stuff like every other day. Which is, I mean, just don't put that information on the Google business profile if you are. Very low maintenance. So take 5 minutes. You want to go in there and acquire your listing, and then just put the information, and every once in a while pop in there, maybe once a quarter pop in there to be sure that the information is still relevant. So that's all you really need to do. I think that's it for today, Chelsea. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the S.O.B. Marketing Podcast.
If you guys have any suggestions on content that you want to hear, you can DM us on social media. We are under the Seasoned Marketer. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just leave us a comment. Go ahead, subscribe, like, follow us. Give us a review, all of the things that people ask from their listeners.
I only want good reviews, though, so let me just throw that out there. No.
Yeah, only good reviews,
all right, well,
please.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.